Dear participants, we are very, very happy to finally welcome you to the 17th International Conference on Environmental, Cultural, Economic and Social Sustainability here at the Vrije Universiteit in Amsterdam and hosted by the Amsterdam Sustainability Institute in very close collaboration with our good friends on Sustainability Research Network from Common Ground. I want to take the opportunity to thank a number of people who have enabled this conference. Philipp from the Common Ground Network, thank you very much for your support throughout this process, in particular when we decided to move this conference online and into the virtual space. I also want to thank my two co-chairs, David and Sjoerd, who have been with me all the way. And I want to thank all the supporters in the university for all their help, and in very particular, Sipora, the coordinator of the Amsterdam Sustainability Institute, for doing a very, very good job in getting us to where we are today. Now, we are finally here, and we have organized everything for you. Even great weather outside. I think it will be 15 degrees, but now we are doing this conference virtually. And although this is probably not the ideal situation, I want to say that I actually enjoy it. I think the format that we have chosen, I will talk about this in a bit more detail, will enable us to have better discussions, more intense for a longer period of time, even throughout different time zones across the globe. And all of this will be realized with very, very little emissions. So hopefully we will meet again, but for now I'm very happy that we do meet here in Amsterdam virtually for this conference. We have organized the conference into 4 dedicated streams, and they are of course also on the dedicated conference website, so I will not introduce them in much detail, but I want to say we are looking forward to more than 150 presentations on ecological realities, on the theme of participatory processes, on economic, cultural and social context, and on the really important question of education, assessment and policy. The conference has 2 very distinct formats. One is what we call synchronous, and that is just fancy for saying live. So there are a number of sessions that will be streamed live. There is a link in the program description that you can just click, and you will be part of a live session. I just want to mention 3 of those live events that will happen today on Thursday. The first is a colloquium on the question of small-scale mining. You find actually all the exact dates and start times in the program, so please refer to them. And please also be aware that they are both in Amsterdam time, which is standard European time, and they're also given in US time. The second is a workshop on art and the role that arts play, and the third live workshop that we have on Thursday is a colloquium that will discuss actually the upcoming Dutch elections and the role that sustainability will play in them, and therefore this event is in Dutch, but I want to actually invite you to test your knowledge of Dutch and be part of that. There's also ample opportunity for all of you to mingle. Of course, we don't have coffee breaks in the old-fashioned way, but we have something that is almost as good as, and that is what we call talking circles. An opportunity to meet your colleagues, to mingle and to network, and we have 2 of those in the program on Friday, and that will enable you to have discussions, informal discussions with your colleagues. There's also a second type of event, and that is what we call asynchronous, and that is probably a bit new to many of us, because it basically means that the panels and the papers will be available for you to look at any time during the conference. So 24-hour, you can look at the media content that has been uploaded, the PowerPoint presentations, at the papers and the abstracts, and you can leave your comments. And of course, I want to invite you to do that. This is your opportunity to engage with your fellow conference participants and have heated debates about how we can move into a more sustainable future. I also want to take the opportunity to thank all of you who have already uploaded material to the website. I've seen already a lot of videos and electronic content, so I want to thank everyone to really be flexible and want to invite everyone to make most of this new format. We have also selected a special theme for this conference, a theme which is very close to my heart. The theme of accelerating the transition to sustainability, policy solutions for the climate emergency. And hopefully I don't need to really explain why this is a pertinent and very relevant topic, but nonetheless, I want to say, why do we focus on acceleration? Because the time is ticking. There is actually a clock, it's called the climate clock, which is counting backwards. It's counting until the time in which we will have exceeded our carbon budget to keep us within the 1.5 degree range, and the time until that is actually less than 7 years. So in other words, we have less than 7 years to make a deep transition in our societies to sustainability. And this conference wants to contribute to that debate. We want to find out what approaches are available, which approaches work, and what can be done to accelerate the great many policies, ideas, and concepts that are already available. I want to briefly make 2 observations, hopefully observations that can help us and stimulate debates throughout this conference. These 2 observations might seem a bit contradictory at first, but I do believe they both need our attention. The first observation is actually keeping in line with my motto to always stay positive, is that we have achieved already quite something. We have done our homework. Just imagine how many international agreements exist on environmental issues, that we have succeeded to negotiate the Paris Agreement of 2015, and even as of now, knowing that the United States of America has re-entered the Paris Agreement. Mentioning also the 2030 Development Agenda and the SDGs, all of these are important milestones in our transition towards sustainability, because this means we have actually agreed on international rules that will guide us into the future. And let me add to that, there are also a number of visible transformations ongoing. On Friday morning, my colleague, Professor Ilona Otto, will talk about this in much more detail. It's 9:15 on Friday. But I want to already say a couple of words about this idea of social tipping points. There are a number of systems that need to change. The fossil fuel economy, the way we actually think about progress and growth, the way we organize our economies, but also important questions about social justice and equality. And what we see is that these systems have started to change almost a decade ago, and they're going into an acceleration mode already. I think this is really crucially important to realize that not everything is negative. There are already things on which we can build. But, and that is my second observation, of course, there is the important question of power. There is an important question about who is actually benefiting from change and who is not. So in other words, there are strong political objections and contestations and resistance to a transition for sustainability. Maybe I can give a short example. Being here in the European Union, we all pride ourselves to have the European Green Deal. And as Commission President von der Leyen said, this is something like the European man on the moon moment. So in other words, an ambitious plan to change the entire European economy to a more sustainable one. And although I applaud that, and I think it's actually a very daring enterprise to achieve, I also have to say that the lobbying of business interest has been fierce and quite successful. If we think about that, net zero emissions is the key term of this ambition. We really can see how certain concepts benefit certain actors while they do not benefit others. And this is an important question we have to address during this conference. I think it is crucial what will happen in the next 5 years. Will we be able to learn from the examples of research on actually the things that work? Will we be able to accelerate and scale up the good ideas? Let me mention a couple of those. The sharing economy, debates about degrowth, the idea that we should leave no one behind, combining a social, environmental, racial, and gender justice agenda, for example. But also things like accountability and transparency. These are all important debates, And I hope that this conference will make a contribution and will come up with great ideas how we can move those into the future. So, my hopes and wishes for this conference are the following. Let us discuss what has been achieved. Let us think about what ideas work and maybe what can be improved. But let us also talk about the existing obstacles in terms of power and ignorance that need to be overcome. On this latter question, I have a very personal suggestion. Maybe during this conference we can talk less about concrete targets and timetables and policies and other technologies that we need to do. And we can talk more about how we envisage a sustainable future. Maybe we can talk more about whether the future will be equitable, fair, and just, and how we can maybe strike a compromise between the interests of humans and non-human participants and inhabitants of this planet. I do believe that the 17th International Conference on Environment, Cultural, Economic, and Social Sustainability is the place to actually discuss these ideas about the future. And I want to invite all of you to participate in these lively debates because they are crucial. These are the important debates of our time. I wish you now a lot of fun, a lot of excitement, a lot of surprise during this conference, and I hope to see you sometime, someplace in real life. Thank you.